Hi guys, Eevee Guy here. Welcome to a new episode. Today I will do a grass type Nuzlocke challenge. If you didn't see the last episode, go check it out. This is going to be a special kind of monologue that I will try to do. Each generation divided by episodes. So welcome to episode 3 of my grass type Nuzlocke. The rules for this challenge is if a Pokemon faints, is dead and must be boxed or released. I can only catch the first grass type or that will become a grass type Pokemon after evolve in each route. Every time I defeat a gym leader, that gym will be my checkpoint. If I black out, I must reset from the last checkpoint. I will be playing set mode and I will use HM Mules if I need to. It's not really a rule, but you get me. And my level cap will start level 15 and increase always 5 levels for the next gym. If it goes over level, I will put it in a box until it can be used again. This means this rule will bring advantages, but it will also bring disadvantages for myself. Of course, I will still try to match the levels from the gym leaders, if I need to, the ones below the level of course. I can't heal in battle, I'm only allowed to use held items. And I can't use Pokemon that are already faint in previous generations. So, this episode will start in Owen in the Gen 3 games. Oh yes, Owen. They introduces 141 new Pokemon to the main series. And all of those 141 Pokemon, we only have 8 new Grass-type Pokemon. But since we are playing Pokemon Emerald, we can't have Roselia. But we still can have 8 Pokemon. You see, in Emerald, the Grass-type Pokemon you can have is Trico, Oddish, Lotad, Seedot, Shroomish, Cacnea, Lilip, and Tropius. Grass types are not the best in Pokemon games, but they can still manage themselves in battle. I should know, after all, it's not the first time I use them. They are weak against fire, ice, poison, flying, and bug types, but they are strong against rock, ground, and water types. So, with a little love and patience too, of course, I'm sure we can lead them to victory. So, put a like on that video, subscribe to my channel, Eevee will appreciate, and come with me in this adventure. So, let's see. We just moved to a new region, Owen, and we start in Little Root Town. So we need to go for a new Pokemon. Time to save the professor. And to do that, we need to choose one of the 3. And of course, we are going for Trico. And after we save the professor, he gave me the grass-type Pokemon and I named it Gecko. Then the fight with our rival, May, goes almost well, but we win with a few pounds. Then after we get some balls, we can start our run. So on Route 102, I catch a Lotad, which I name Waterleaf. Then on Petalburg Woods, we fight an Aquagrunt, which was a little complicated, but still we managed to win. And in here I can also find a Shroomish, which I catch it and I name it Puncher. So let's now face Roxanne, the rock-type gym leader. The first Geodude goes down with a few absorbs from Puncher, even when Roxanne uses her potion, and the second Geodude goes down as well. Then her last Pokemon, Nosepass. It's more complicated, I go for Leech Seeds to speed things up and then I go for Stun Spore to paralyze it. Then I continue to attack with Absorb, Nosepass or Berry heals it a little bit until we finally bring Nosepass down. Like I said, it was complicated, but we weren't really in danger. We win our first badge. Then I go get the Miracle Seed, a good item for the grass types. Then we deliver the mail to Steven so we can get the experience check. So that way we don't need to train our team out on battle. On the way of leveling up, Gecko evolved into Grovyle and Waterleaf into Lombre. Oh, and before I challenge the gym, I go to Route 110 and I catch an Oddish. Welcome back to the team, Blossom. So let's face Brawly, the fighting type gym leader. He starts with Machop and I go with Blossom. First I go with Sleep Powder. And then I change for Puncher, but Machop wakes up right away and goes for Bulk Up. Not good. I go for Mega Drain, but we don't do that much damage. So I change back to Blossom, so I can put it back to sleep. And then I go for Absorb to damage Machop. Of course, Brawly goes for 2 Super Potions here, but that's no concern. At least he uses here, So after a few absorbs, matchup goes down, so next is Metatite. I go for Sleep Powder, but not before Metatite uses Light Screen. Then I change for Gecko and use Fury Cutter, which eventually takes Metatite down. Last is Makuhita. I go for a Fury Cutter, but as expected, it doesn't do that much, especially after bulk up. I change for Blossom, which takes a Vital Throw and our Oranberry heals. Then I go for Sleep Powder and start using Absorb, but Makuhita wakes up and uses Vital Throw, putting Blossom on 10 HP, while Makuhita's Citrus Berry heals it back to almost full. Then I put it back to sleep and then use more Absorb until it wakes up and uses Reversal, forcing me to switch for Puncher. But Brawly has another Super Potion and uses on Makuhita. Damn. I go for Stun Spore and Makuhita uses Vital Throw on us, and then I go for Leech Seed. And after that, Makuhita gets paralyzed thanks to Stun Spore, and then a critical Mega Drain finishes off Makuhita, winning us the second batch. Damn, I didn't think the second gym would be this hard. After that, it's time to level up a little bit, which Blossom evolves into Gloom, and then it's time for our rival battle. She goes with Wingull and I go with Blossom. Wingull uses Supersonic first to confuse us, and I go with Sleep Powder, which fortunately hits. Then we hit ourselves in confusing twice before we start to make some damage on Wingull, until May decides to change for Combusken. That's smart. While Combusken goes for Focus Energy, I go for Sleep Powder. And then I change for Water Leaf. I use 2 Growls before Combusken wakes up, and then I change for Blossom again. Blossom takes an Ember before putting Combusken to sleep again. Then I change for Puncher to send a Leech Seed. Then I change for Water Leaf again, and then I go for Growl again. Combusken awakes, but its Ember can't make too much damage now that we lower his attack. Then I change for Gecko, who takes an Ember before Combusken goes down with a Leech Seed. Next, May sends Wingull, which goes down with one last Absorb. Then she sends Lombre. I go for some Natural Gift and Cut and Fury Cutter, but after some damage from Lombre, I need to change for Blossom. I was trying to Poison Powder Lombre, but with all those Astonishes, I was failing until I finally do, and actually, Lombre goes down with Poison, winning the fight against May. I know, it wasn't the best of strategies, but you have to use what you got. On Route 117, I catch a Seedot, and I name it Corn. After some level up, Corn evolves into Nuzleaf, and Puncher evolves into Breloom. So now it's time to face Watson, the electric type gym leader. He goes with Boltorb and I go with Blossom. First I put it to sleep, and then I go for Acid. Of course Voltorb survives on the red, and Watson uses a super potion, so I have to do everything again. But on the red, Voltorb awakes and uses self-destruct, which Blossom survives. So next is Electrike, which goes for Howl, which is not good. But I go for Sleep Powder to put it to sleep, and then I go for Absorb. Of course Electrike wakes up at the same point, forcing me to use Sleep Powder again. But then Absorb crits and Electrike goes down. Next is Magneton, and this thing always goes for Thunder Wave to paralyze, but of course I can prepare, because the Cherry Berry I attach to Blossom activates and cures the paralysis. Unfortunately, we miss the Sleep Powder, which means that Magneton goes for another Thunder Wave, and this time we can't heal it. But fortunately we connect with Sleep Powder on the next turn, putting Magneton to sleep. Then I change for Puncher, that now is part Fighting type as well. 2 Mach Punches puts Magneton down. Last is Manectric. First I go for Leech Seed, and then I go for Mach Punch, which crits, leaving Manectric on the red. Of course the static ability for Manectric paralyzes it, but of course we put the Cherry Berry on Puncher as well, which cures the paralysis. And then the Citrus Berry from Manectric heals it, but it's not a problem, because a Mach Punch leaves it on the red, and that red goes down with the Leech Seed, winning us the third batch. Then we go for the fight against Maxi. He starts with Mightyena and I go with Puncher. I go first with Mach Punch, but then I change for Gecko, which takes a bite, then I change back to Puncher, just to shake off that Intimidate, then I go for Monk Punch again and my Tiana goes down. Next is Camerupt, so first I go with Leech Seed, and then I go for Monk Punch. We still resist the Magnitude 8, but eventually Camerupt goes down. Last is Zubat, and I go for Headbutt, and Zubat goes for Wing Attack, which leaves Puncher on only 2 HP. Maxi then heals Zubat with the Super Potion, but it's not a problem because we hit another Headbutt, which Maxi heals again, but 2 more Headbutts and Zubat goes down, winning the fight. So now it's time to face our worst nightmare, Flannery, the Fire-type gym leader. She starts with Numel and I go with Blossom. I use Sleep Powder on it and then I change for Water Leaf. Why? Not only Water Leaf is a grass type and also a water type, which can resist just a little bit, but Water Leaf can't learn any water type moves yet. Which is bad, but I still have another solution, using Flash. Flash can lower the accuracy, which means that if I use it 6 times lowering to the minimum, Numel will start to miss its attacks. That's why I need to start to do this while Numel is taking a nap. After 3 flashes, Numel wakes up to attack with Takedown, but of course it misses because of Flash. But still, 3 more to go. Of course Numel uses Sunny Day, and it still can hit if it is lucky, which actually happens. Numel hits a Magnitude 5. It doesn't do that much, so we are okay. Then I change for Puncher, and this is where I can start doing what I wanted to do, using Bulk Up on Puncher. Bulk Up increases attack and defense, so I use 6 of them for maximum attack and defense. And then I go for Mach Punch with Choco Numel, Camerupt and Slagma. The last is Torkoal, which only makes half, but Torkoal misses a Overeat, which gives me the chance for another Mach Punch to finish Torkoal. And we overcome our worst nightmare and win the 4th badge. Phew, that was very lucky and I'm happy that strategy worked. And I didn't lose anyone from my team, which is even better. On the Mirage Tower, we get the Root Fossil, and on Route 111, I found a Cacnea, and I name it Spiky. Then I go back to Rustboro City to restore my fossil into a Lilip, which I name Root. After some level up, it's time to face my dad, Normal, the normal type gym leader. He starts with Spinda and I go with Puncher. I go for Bulk Up first, but Spinda goes for Teeter Dance, which confuses Puncher. So I try another Bulk Up, but we hit ourselves and confuse. So I decide to go for Monk Punch, and we hit, and Spinda goes down in 1 hit. Next is Vigoroth, another Mach Punch, which crits, and Vigoroth goes down. Next is Linoon, and normally it goes for Belly Drum, so I go for another Bulk Up, and then a Mach Punch, and Linoon goes down. Last is Slacking, and I go for Mach Punch, which put Slacking on half, and then Facade almost takes down Puncher. But Puncher survives on just 6 HP, and then another Mach Punch finishes off Slacking. Phew, that was close. We win our 5th badge. Then Wally's dad comes to take me out of the gym to give me the HM for Surf. Finally a water move that Water Leaf can learn. Next we go back to the Ilford town to get the TM for Sludge Bomb, and to the abandoned ship to get the TM for Ice Beam. Wow, some berries! Give it to me. And on Route 119 I found my last encounter, a Tropius. I catch it and I name it Frusaurus. And on the way to the next city, May wants another battle. Alright, let's do this. She starts with Pelipper and I go with Puncher. As expected, she goes for Protect, so I go with Bulk Up. And I go with Mega Drain, which actually doesn't do that much, of course not. What were you expecting, Eevee guy? So I change for Blossom, which takes a Wing Attack. Then I go for Sleep Powder, but Pelipper goes for Protect, so I need to try again. But she goes with Double Protect, so on the next turn a Winged Attack takes a huge damage on Blossom, and then a Sleep Powder hits. Then I change to Water Leaf, which shoots 2 Ice Beams and then a Surf to finish off Pelipper. Next is Combustion, but this time Waterleaf has Surf to take it down. Last is Lombre, and in this mirror match I go for Ice Beam, while Maze Lombre goes for Nature Power. But of course my Waterleaf proves superior and shows who is the real Lombre, hanging on just 4 HP. Damn. Winning the fight. So now it's time to face Winona, the Flying type gym leader, another threat for my team. She starts with Swallow and I go with Waterleaf. Swallow starts with Perish Song and I go with Ice Beam, making a huge damage. The next turn Swallow just goes for Safeguard, so my next Ice Beam takes down Swallow. Next is Pelipper, and since Waterleaf is with Perish Song effect, I need to change for Puncher, while Pelipper misses a Supersonic. And then I go for Bulk Up. Pelipper still misses a Supersonic and goes for Protect, which gives me the chance to use Bulk Up even more. Pelipper still manages to hit 2 aerial aces. But after that I even go for Mega Drain, but what was I thinking? So I go for 2 Mach Punches, which finishes off Pelipper. Next is Skarmory, and it goes down with 2 Mach Punches. Although Skarmory hits an aerial ace, that leaves Puncher on the red. So when Tropius comes out, I need to change for Blossom, which takes another aerial ace, but it can put Tropius to sleep. Then I change to Root, and then I made the worst decision ever. You see, I use Ingram, which lets me recover health every turn, but it also doesn't let me switch Root for any other Pokemon. Tropius wakes up, and it goes for Sunny Day, while I use Confuse Ray. And then I start to attack with Acid, while Tropius hits itself in Confuse. Then Tropius snaps out of Confuse and uses Solar Beam, which with Sunny Day it's a 1-turn move, but it doesn't do that much, so I go for another Acid. Then Tropius goes for Aerial Ace and I go for another Confuse Ray. After reaching red, Winona heals, so we have to start everything again. But eventually Tropius goes down, although it made a lot of damage to Root, surviving on only 12 HP. And when Altaria comes out, that's when I remember that I can't switch out Root because of the move Ingrain. So I'm stuck here and I don't have any other choice than watch Root go down by Altaria. Sorry buddy, rest in peace. So next I send Waterleaf and Altaria goes for Dragon Dance, which I take advantage for an Ice Beam, making a lot of damage, and we get the freeze as well. So although Altaria's Oran Berry heals it a little bit, I use another Ice Beam and Altaria goes down, winning us our 6th badge. Damn, if it wasn't for that freeze, I don't know if we could win that. That was a damn luck. Well, time to box Root and bring Fursaurus to the team. Oh, and then I found a Leaf Stone. And then when I reach Lilycove City, I face May for our last battle. She starts with Tropius and I go with Waterleaf. I use 2 Ice Beams and Tropius goes down. Next is Combustion, so I go for Surf, then Combustion goes for Peck, which leaves Waterleaf on just 13 HP. So I can use another Surf and Combustion goes down. Next is Pelipper, so I change for Fursaurus, which takes a lot of damage with Wing Attack. So I have to change again, but this time for Blossom. Pelipper fires a Supersonic, but we make it through Confuse and use Sleep Powder. Then I go for Acid to make some damage. At some point, Pelipper wakes up and uses Supersonic, but eventually it goes down with Acid. Last is Ludicolo, but it goes down after 2 acids and we win the fight. Nice. While facing the Magma Grunts, Spike evolved into Cocturne, so now we have some more power on the team. The fight against Maxi starts after he wakes up Groudon, and then him going with Mightyena. I go for Puncher and I start to go for Bulk Ups. At one point Mightyena uses Swagger to raise my attack and put me confused, but my Person Berry heals the confuse. Of course that makes Mightyena go for another Swagger, which raises my attack again. Yes, we're still confused, but we get through and we finish Mightyena with just 1 Mach Punch. Next is Crobat. Since Crobat is faster, it goes for Hair Cutter. Fortunately, we don't hit ourselves in Confuse, and a headbutt puts Crobat down. Next is Camerupt, so I have to change for Water Leaf, which takes a takedown, then a single Surf takes it down, so we win the fight. By leveling up, Gecko evolves into Sceptile, so it's time to face Tate and Liza, the Psychic type gym leaders. They start with Claydol and Xatu, and I go with Spiky and Fursoros. Xatu goes for Calm Mind and Claydol for Earthquake. Then I use Feint Attack from Spiky and Magical Leaf from Fursoros on Claydol, so Claydol is the first to go down. Soul Rock comes in its place, but another combination from Feint Attack and Magical Leaf puts Soul Rock down. So next comes Lunatone in its place. And this time I decide to use Body Slam from Fursoros and Growth from Spiky, since that Xatu will be a threat if I don't stop it. Both Xatu and Lunatone use Calm Mind and I continue to go with Growth, while I attack Xatu with Body Slam from Fursoros. At one point I use Feint Attack and Xatu goes down. Then I just go for Growth on Fursoros while I make a crit on Lunatone with Feint Attack, and Lunatone goes down as well, winning us the 7th badge. Well, that wasn't scary at all. Phew! Then after that we have a fight with 2 Magmagrunts along with Steven. And to be fair, I don't really like AI partners. You can't never tell what they will do. I use Water Leaf to finish the Camerupt with the Surf, the Golbat with an Ice Beam, and the rest of the other Pokemons, actually it was Steven who take care of. And then the Crobat itself leave Fursoros on the red, but Steven's Skarmory made it and saved Fursoros from being killed. So, thanks Steven. Then we meet Steven where he gives us the HM for dive, which is awesome because now I can use it to go get the Water Stone on the abandoned ship. And then I go get the Sunstone from this guy as well. So then it was time to use those stones to evolve Water Leaf into Ludicolo and Blossom into, well, Blossom, respectively. So let's face Archie, the Aqua team leader. He starts with Mariana and I go with Spiky just to take the Intimidate, then I change for Puncher. Then I tried to go for Bulk Up, but I forgot Mariana had Roar, so it forces Puncher to come back and bring Spiky. It was tricky, but a few Feint Attack and Needle Arms put Mariana down. Next is Crobat, so I change for Blossom, which takes a huge damage from Air Cutter. But then I put Crobat to sleep, then I change for Water Leaf and use Ice Beam. And even with a Super Potion from Archie, Crobat goes down. Last is Sharpedo, and I change for Puncher, which takes a slash, and then Puncher effect Sport ability takes effect, making Sharpedo paralyzed. But still it managed to hit a Swagger. We hit ourselves in Confuse, but eventually Sharpedo goes down and we win the fight. Damn, that was close. And of course it still decides to wake up Kyogre and both teams create a catastrophe, where the weather is out of control. And when I get to Sootopolis, I see Groudon and Kyogre fighting and looking to each other, while the weather is out of control. So I need to get Rayquaza to control these guys and make them go back to where they belong, so I can go back to the challenge. Thank you, Rayquaza. So it's time to face Juan, the Water-type gym leader. He starts with Love Disc and I go with Puncher. Love Disc starts with Attract first and I go for Bulk Up. On the next turn, Punch gets immobilized and then Love Disc gets confused by a Sweet Kiss, and it hits itself in Confuse. I try to go for Mega Drain, but Puncher hits itself in Confuse again. Then Puncher snaps out of Confuse, but it gets immobilized. Damn it. And little by little, Love Disc is taking damage with Water Pulse. On the next turn, Puncher gets immobilized again, and Love Disc puts another Sweet Kiss to confuse Puncher again. Finally on the red, Puncher uses Mega Drain and takes half of damage from Love Disc. And after a few turns of immobilized, Puncher finally uses Mega Drain again and finishes off Love Disc. Next is Celio. I go for Mega Drain and then Celio uses Aurora Beam, which takes a lot of damage, leaving Puncher with only 4 HP. Fortunately, the Mega Drain can give us some health, and fortunately, Celio uses Water Pulse, so another Mega Drain puts Celio down. Next is Kingdra, so I change to Water Leaf, which takes an Ice Beam. Then Kingdra goes for Double Team while I go for Ice Beam, Then Kingdra uses Ice Beam while I go for Flash. Then another Ice Beam from Kingdra freezes Waterleaf, but we defrost right away. But we miss our Flash. I decide to change for Gecko because Waterleaf was with low health. Then I go for Leaf Blade, which makes a good damage, and Kingdra goes for Ice Beam, which makes a lot of damage. But the next Leaf Blade puts Kingdra down. Next is Wishcash, and it goes down with a single Leaf Blade. Last is Crawdaunt, and it also goes down with a single Leaf Blade, winning us the last patch. Who would thought that the Water Gym would take this long with grass types? So now it's time to go for the Pokemon League. But before that, we found Wally on Victory Road, who challenges us for a battle. He starts with Altaria and I go with Puncher. I make a huge damage with Headbutt, but then Altaria uses Aerial Ace, so I need to change for Waterleaf, which takes an Aerial Ace. Then takes another Aerial Ace before using Ice Beam to finish Altaria. Next is Roselia, so I change for Blossom, which takes a Magical Leaf. Next Roselia uses Toxic and I go for Sludge Bomb. Another Sludge Bomb on the next turn puts Roselia down. Next is Dalkiri, so I change for Puncher. Dalkiri uses Tri Attack, which Puncher survives on just 9 HP. And then a Sky Uppercut puts Dalkiri down. Next is Gardevoir, so I change for Spiky. Gardevoir goes for Future Sight, which gives me the chance to use Feint Attack, and Gardevoir goes down, so last is Magneton. Spiky takes the Future Sight, and I use Leech Seed on Magneton, while Magneton goes for Thunderbolt, and paralyzes. Fortunately, on the next turn, Spiky still manages to hit a Needlearm, but then I change for Gecko, and it finishes off Magneton with Leaf Blade, winning the fight. So now it's time to face the Elite Four, and this is the team I will use. Let's see if I can make them win. First is Sydney, the Dark-type trainer. He starts with Mightyena and I go with Waterleaf. I try to go for Flash, which misses, and Mightyena goes for Sand Attack. Despite Mightyena still hitting us with Double H, we manage to put 6 flashes. Then I bring Puncher to put 4 Bulk Ups. Mightyena still manages to hit the Double H, but only that. Then I go for Sky Uppercut and Mightyena goes down, as Absol as well go down. Then next comes Shiftry. It is annoying a little bit because Shiftry goes for Double Team, which makes it difficult to hit, but Puncher finally hit and Shiftry goes down. Groudon comes next and I finish it with 2 Mega Drains. Last is Cacturne, but another Sky Uppercut puts it down, winning the fight. Next is Phoebe, the Ghost-type trainer. She starts with Dusclops and I go with Spiky. Dusclops goes for Protect, which doesn't matter because I just go for Growth. Then on the next turn, I take it out with Feint Attack. As the second Dusclops and the Banette, the Sableye I take it out with a single Needlearm. And the second Banette I take it out with another Feint Attack, winning the fight. Next is Glacia, the Ice-type trainer. She starts with Celio and I go with Blossom. First I just use Sleep Powder, which fortunately connects, and then I switch for Puncher. Then I use 3 Bulk Ups before Celio wakes up and uses Hell. Then I go for Sky Uppercut and finish off Celio. Next is the second Celio, which goes down the same way. And I'm predicting that it's probably faster than Puncher, so I change for Waterleaf, which takes an Ice Beam. And then I go for Flash 6 times, but even with that, Walrein manages to put Waterleaf on 2 HP, before I change it for Puncher again. Then I go for some Bulk Ups and finish Walrein with Sky Uppercut. Next is Glalie, so I change for Fursoros, but of course it goes down with a single Ice Beam. So I bring Gecko and I go for Leaf Blade, which makes a good damage, but then Glalie goes for Ice Beam, making a lot of damage, but the next Leaf Blade crits and finishes off Glalie. Nice. But then the last is the second Glalie. I'm scared that it can kill off my team, so I just attack with Leaf Blade, which crits again, but then I have to watch Gecko go down as well with an Ice Beam. So I bring Blossom and I go for Sleep Powder, knowing that Glacia will use a full restore, and now that Glalie is sleeping, I change for Puncher and I use Sky Uppercut and Glalie goes down. Although I win the fight, I wasn't happy about it. I lost 2 members just in this fight, one of them being my starter. But there wasn't time to mourn, it was time to face Lance, the Dragon-type trainer. He starts with Shellgun and I go with Puncher. Normally it goes with Protect, and as I predicted, it uses Protect, so I go for Bulk Up. On the next turn, I go again for Bulk Up and Puncher takes a Dragon Claw. Next I go for Sky Uppercut, which crits, and Shellgun goes down. Next is Flygon, and it also goes down with a Sky Uppercut. Next is Altaria, so I change for Water Leaf, which takes a Double Edge. Then Altaria goes for Dragon Dance, but it goes down with a single Ice Beam. Next is Kingdra, so I decide to go with the Flash shenanigans. Kingdra still managed to hit a Body Slam, but after 6 flashes, I change for Blossom, which takes a Body Slam. And then I hit a Sleep Powder. Then I go for Solar Beam, first turn to recharge, but Lance changes for Salamence with the ability Intimidate, which means that when Solar Beam is fired, it goes with the minus attack. Then Blossom survives on 8 HP from Flamethrower to land another Sleep Powder, and then I change for Water Leaf to hit an Ice Beam, finishing off Salamence. So Lance sends back Kingdra, which I land 3 flashes, but not before Kingdra put Water Leaf on the red. Then I change again for Blossom, then I use Moonlight to heal, and then I use Sleep Powder. When Kingdra is sleeping, I use another Moonlight, and then I go for 2 Solar Beams. Of course, when I go for the first, Kingdra awakes, but Blossom takes well its Body Slams, so eventually goes down, and we win the fight. Damn, that was close. Next is the champion Wallace. He starts with Wailord, and I go with Blossom. Wailord goes for Rain Dance, and I go for Sleep Powder. Then I change for Water Leaf to put some flashes. Of course, Wailord wakes up and still manages to put Water Leaf on the red. But then I change back for Blossom. Then Wailord goes again for Rain Dance, and I go for Sleep Powder. Then I change for Puncher, and I start the Bulk Up shenanigans. After 6 Bulk Ups, Wailord goes down with a single Headbutt. Next is Milotic. Milotic puts a Toxic on Puncher before he goes down with Headbutt. Next is Tentacruel, which is faster and makes a huge damage on Puncher with Ice Beam before it goes down with Headbutt. Next is Whiscash. I go for Mega Drain so I can recover some health, and Puncher makes a crit. Nice. Then another Mega Drain leaves Whiscash on the red, so Wallace heals it, which gives me a free Mega Drain. Then the next Mega Drain crits again and Whiscash goes down. Next is Ludicolo, but it goes down with a single Headbutt. Last is Gyarados, and since Puncher is on low health, I change for Blossom, which can take a Surf. Then an Earthquake before it can land a Sleep Powder. Then I go for Sludge Bomb, then Gyarados wakes up and uses Earthquake, which crits, so I go for Moonlight to heal. Then Gyarados goes for Hyper Beam, leaving Blossom on just 17 HP, and then I put another Sleep Powder. Then I go for Solar Beam and Gyarados goes down, winning the fight and becoming the champion. But we're still not done yet. To win completely, we need to face the old champion, Steve. So I take Corn out of the box, train it until it learns the move it needs, and then I use the Leaf Stone to evolve it. So now it's time to face Steve. He starts with Skarmory and I go for Puncher. Skarmory goes for Spikes and I go for Bulk Up. Then the next turn, Skarmory goes for Toxic, which is healed by our Pecha Berry, while I go for another Bulk Up. So the next turn, Skarmory goes for Aerial Ace, but Puncher survives, then I use Sky Uppercut, and Skarmory goes down. Next is Armaldo, but it goes down with a single Sky Uppercut. Next is Metagross, so I change for Corn. Despite trying to make some damage, Metagross is more faster and finishes off Corn with Meteor Mash. So I bring Water Leaf to land some Surfs, while Metagross makes some damage with Psychic, and still heals 2 times with Full Restore. Then I change for Blossom, which takes a Psychic, then Metagross manages to miss a Meteor Mash, fortunately, which means I can use Moonlight to heal. Then Metagross goes for Meteor Mash and I hit a Sleep Powder. Then I change for Puncher and I use Sky Uppercut to finish Metagross. Next is Claydol, so I change for Spiky, which takes an HM power. Then Claydol goes for Light Screen and I go for Growth. Then I go for another Growth while Claydol goes for Earthquake. Then I send a Leech Seed first and then I go for Feint Attack, leaving Claydol on the red. Of course Steve still heals with Full Restore. But I go for another Feint Attack, then Claydol goes for an Earthquake which Spiky survives on just 3 HP and then finishes Claydol with another feint attack. Next is Aggron, so I go for Leech Seed and Aggron misses a Thunder. Fortunately, I try to be greedy and I go for Growth, and fortunately again, Aggron misses another Thunder. Then I go for Needle Arm and Aggron goes down. Last is Credilli, so I go for Needle Arm, making a lot of damage and Credilli flinch, so another Needle Arm finishes off Credilli, winning the fight and the run. Well, this challenge was interesting. It was fun dealing with the shenanigans of these grass types. Yes, I have to rely a lot on Sleep Powders, Flash, Bulk Ups, but I'm not scared of relying on that if that's what I need to win the challenge. But overall, it was fun thinking on how to use those moves to win the battles that I had, and these grass types weren't bad at all. Having dual type can help a lot on these runs. So yeah, I want to see what will happen when I take this grass challenge to Sinnoh next. Let's see. And if you enjoyed this challenge, let me know in the comments and press that like. Subscribe to my channel if you will appreciate, and I hope I see you on the next video. Peace!